What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about how story missions will work in Spider-Man 2. My opinions, obviously, these are just my opinions, but this was really brought upon me, in my mind by the last set of leaks that we read. So the last Spider-Man 2 video I made, we talked about a group of leaks that, whether they're real or not, what's good about leaks, and I try to say this for most of those videos, what's good about them is even if they're completely fake, they do give us ideas. They're interesting things to discuss, to break apart specific parts of it. And this one was a really, I guess how the stories work in terms of this leak was a really big part of it and a really interesting thing. So we'll break down what the leak said, and then I want to, for that part, in case anybody missed it, and then I want to talk about how I think it should work. If you guys are new here, or if you guys have been here and you just haven't done it yet, make sure, as always, you're subscribed. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on so you know all these videos go up. And also, if you guys want to join our Discord server, we're getting very, very close to 700 members over there. Link for that is in the description below. Would love to have you guys over there. Okay, so pretty much the biggest part of the leak, at least in my opinion, there were other big things. Again, you can go watch the video for the rest of it, but they talked about story missions, and they talked about how they're making it. Now, it sounded like side stuff. Side missions are going to be like this, where you can play as either Miles or Peter, and you can mix and match. So if it's a 3-mission arc for whatever, pick your story, pick if it's a villain, pick whatever. It's a 3-mission arc. You could do the first mission as Miles, and then you go into the second mission, but you could do it as Peter, and the game will reference it. And I think their example was the other way around. You do the first one as Peter, then the second one as Miles, and Miles, says in the beginning, hey, Pete, sent me here to, check this out, right? So, having the game have, a clever way of recognizing it. The enemies would react accordingly, and that's, again, this is what the leak said, where, if the first mission you were Miles, the second mission, they may use Venom, anti-Venom stuff, because obviously that works against Miles, but it wouldn't work against Peter. So I think those are pretty interesting concepts, and again, that leak could have been true, could have been the most fake thing in the world, could have just been literally somebody who wants that idea in the game, and so he pitched it and he framed it like it was a leak, like he was told that, right? We don't really know, but we have talked once already on this channel about the fact of co-op stuff. So I said, at least early on, I think it would be somewhat of a good idea to introduce co-op elements into this game. Not, by the way, not where you play with somebody else. While I get that's the new thing now, or that everybody's doing, and some do it way better than others, and some do it pretty terribly, it's the new thing. And not even the new thing, it's a way of introducing microtransactions, it's a way of introducing games as a service, lots of other very potentially bad things. I'm not saying this game would be that, but because we've had games that have cooperative elements in, Batman Arkham Knight is kind of the game I'm trying to hint at. Now, again, that's not really cooperative. You can play as the other character only during literally during very certain circumstances, okay? This Spider-Man game, I would like to do something closely related to that. At the same time, what this person pitched in the leak, I also do want. I think it would be very cool to do a GTA kind of style, like a GTA 5 kind of style Spider-Man, where you could drop in and drop out as either of the only two, at any given time. There are a lot of issues there. There's the issue of not really being certain who the main character is. It's called Spider-Man 2. It's not called Spider-Man Miles Morales 2. It's called Spider-Man 2. But if you allow us to play as both characters, then you make it kind of confusing on us, because what if it's just people that play the entire game as Miles? Again, that could be okay. And by the way, personally, that's fine. But it's Peter, and the story probably revolves around Peter. So while I would like a drop-in, drop-out kind of thing, I don't know how that would work, because again, I don't know how you'd be able to frame it in one as a main character, one as a side character. You could do a thing where if you're just out in the world, you're only Peter. The story missions, the main story missions, which is what we're also talking about here, that is also Peter. Or maybe it's also Miles, but obviously the story will organically shift it, it'll let you know. Here's what I don't want. I don't necessarily want you go into a mission and you have a screen where you slide a cursor over and you're picking between, do I want to bring Miles into this mission or do I want to bring Peter? It doesn't really seem natural or, again, organic to do something like that. However, then how can you get the side missions to do that, right? If this leak is true, how do the side missions work? It could be where you have like a base of operations, maybe an apartment, maybe a lab, maybe something, and if you go there when free roaming, you can switch to the other character. And then if you're doing crime, then like if you're swinging and there's crime going on, whoever you are at the time, you would just do it. Certain side missions are, or any side mission, let's say, can be playable by either of them, and it's your choice to, of which one you want. But then story missions, again, though, that's kind of tough because if you go towards a story mission, you have to be the right character. So you'd have to go back to your base, switch out, go to it. Could you just go to the main mission as either of them, and the game will swap you out, or it'll find a creative way to do it? See what I mean? Like, it is a cool idea. It's a very cool idea to do a GTA-style thing. But the problems do arise where the game needs an organic way of explaining everything to you and making sure that you're aware of what's going on and that it works within the game. You know what I mean? And again, that I think it does get a little bit more wild when you think about cooperative elements that we've talked about. I think there could be story missions where you're both of them, or where both of them are in it, and then you'll have opportunities to play as both of them in a mission. Again, that's really, in my opinion, the first level of Miles. Like when you're fighting Rhino, that's what that's hinting at. It's hinting at, okay, well, for this, you're only playing as Miles. Peter's doing a lot of stuff, and it's very dynamic and all that stuff. Well, wait until you see the next game where you will switch. You can switch back and forth between them. So I do think there will be an element of swapping between them. Now, here's the thing, and here's the question I want to ask you guys, because when making these videos, now obviously I've made I've made more Spider-Man videos than I ever thought I would. Let me say that, right? But I've been having an absolute blast doing it. One thing that I've seen in the comments, and it's kind of a divided thing, but I have seen it, is people unsure if they actually want the focus on anybody but Peter. So if you believe the leak, or even if you go based off of what I'm saying, you would be putting a pretty heavy focus on the other characters, okay? Now, Peter would technically still be the main character, but you could have MJ, you could have Miles, you could have Miles as the person, you could have Miles as the actual superhero, right? Then there could be like a third playable character, right, that the leak said. If you have all this stuff, or if you have the cooperative stuff I'm talking about, and you can play as both of them, that takes away from Peter. So I guess my question to you guys, and I can talk about it a little bit here too, is do we like that? I can tell you I understand it. If you don't like it and you say, this is a Spider-Man game, I'm playing it to play as Peter Parker Spider-Man, I 100% am okay with that. I'm 100% like, I understand completely where you're coming from. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I completely agree, okay? I do think it can be cool, because some people don't want it to build like an expanded Spider-Man universe. Some people do. And this could maybe be a topic for, and you have to let me know in the comments, this could be a topic for an entirely separate video. I think going too far is definitely possible, and that definitely could happen. I think you can take a lot of the focus away from Peter, which is not a good move. But, and then, by the way, like all this stuff, like maybe you would think, oh, this is a little bit off topic. I mean, kind of, but not really, because again, when we talk about the story missions, you look at the first game, there were story missions where you played as MJ, and there were story missions that you played as Miles. Very few. Now, MJ actually had more than Miles, but, it happened very organically, and the spotlight was still, I would say, pretty darn focused on Peter. If this game finds a way to swap, like you could play, okay, this story mission is this character, this story mission is that character, that definitely is a pretty radical change, right? So you'll have to let me know in the comments, what do you think? How do you think main missions will work? Do you think main missions will only be Peter? How do you think side missions will work? Do you think you can switch for those? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. Again, if you guys want to join our Discord server, link for that is in the description below. More Spider-Man videos coming every single week. I try to do it every Friday. This past week was a little messy because we talked about the leak, so we had 2 videos this week. So normally, once a week, I try to do it on like the Thursday or Friday, and so I hope to see you guys for future videos.